So here we go. So today we're going to be talking about my psychological appointment. Good afternoon, everyone, and oops, hold on, my 30 minutes have passed. I have to drink my water. Let me turn this off. Anyway, welcome to my uncut world, a weight loss journey. Here we are. Oh, I forgot to drink my water. I think I'm gonna change locations because yeah. Oh, those incisions, man. Oh. Anyway, hi, I'm back. I am now in my office. So I have found a new spot. Hopefully this is a little better. And I hope you guys can hear me okay. This is the second time I have to record this. So here we go. So today we're going to be talking about my psychological appointment. The purpose of this video is just gonna be about me talking to you guys about the process that I went through, and then at the end I'm going to talk about some behaviors that I noticed that people do and some things that I notice people do that I will tell you my opinion as to why I think that shouldn't be done. So without further ado, here we go. So I started my process of the weight loss surgery in September 2021. So my program through the Michigan Bariatric Institute required all potential patients to go through a psychological evaluation. So how that worked was actually very simple. They had a recommendation of a psychologist that they generally work with, or if you were already going to therapy and you had a therapist, they needed just a letter from them indicating that you were a good candidate for the surgery. So when I received the information from the Michigan Bariatric Institute, they provided me the phone number I had to call and make an appointment. So that was set up, and then they sent me an email with a link to complete what they call a questionnaire, and it took me a good 45 minutes, maybe an hour to complete. At the end of it, there was a little bit of a little essay that you had to write, not like an essay, but like a statement that I had to write. So once I completed that, I sent them an email saying, hey, I completed the questionnaire. And then at that point, all I had to do was really just wait for my appointment. My appointment was done via a video call. Before I had to submit the paperwork, there was a question in there saying, do you want us to bill this to your insurance, or do you want to self-pay? So the reason for that is because some insurances won't cover it, or they'll cover just a part of it, or they, just flat out cover it. So for you to be able to know this, they provided you with the billing codes, the medical billing codes, and you just had to call your insurance to make sure that it would be covered. At that stage, my insurance was covering video calls at 100%, regardless of the tier of my insurance. And I really won't go too far deep into insurance because I know it confuses people, but that's what I do for a living. So for any tier for me in 2021, any video call would be covered 100%, regardless of the type of video call that it was. So generally, this would cost about $400 with this provider. It was about $460. So you have the option of just paying it outright or having it submit to your insurance. I just mixed things up. It would be $460 without insurance, and if you wanted to self-pay, it was about $250, I think. So I just told them, no, go ahead and just send it through the insurance. There was a whole issue about that, and maybe one day I'll talk about it, but I don't think it's really that important, so I'll just summarize it here. Pretty much after the fact, and after it went through the insurance pretty much said, oh, well, this is just gonna go towards her deductible, but she still has to pay all this money. So I got a bill from the psychologist, and I was like, no, I don't think so. So I pretty much just had to be on the phone with Blue Cross for probably about an hour, and then they, I had proof of who I talked to, what they told me and everything. And, it was covered after that. Woo, big whoop-de-doo. Anyway, so after I submitted it, after I confirmed that it would be covered, I had to wait for my appointment. So I did. And my appointment was video call, as I said earlier. And it's supposed to be an hour. I was very nervous. Not because of, oh my God, I'm X, Y, or Z, but because I had never really, sorry, something was bothering me. I don't know. Do you guys ever do this? Like, you feel a hair or like something and it just completely distracts you? This happens to me all the time. Anyway. Oh, good. Where was I? Oh, yeah. Appointment. So, the doctor, video calls, they're kind of awkward because you're just sitting there waiting for them to kind of come into the video call. And then the first thing I said was, just so you know, I'm nervous. I have never really done this before, and any awkwardness that you see is probably just that. And pretty much from there, for me just saying that, it went so well. We just spent like the whole time chatting like we were two best friends, just chatting nonstop. There was no stopping conversation. It was just a conversation. She went over all of the questionnaire. She pretty much just reviewed everything. The questionnaire, as I said, probably has about 160 questions. It goes over a lot of things, just, your basic information. Is there any history of drug addiction, alcoholism, eating disorders with you or your family, any other physical issues? Have you ever seen a psychologist? Have you ever been committed? Like all the things that you could possibly expect were in that questionnaire. It was a very long questionnaire. When I sent the email saying I completed it, I said it's completed. Boy, was that long. LOL. So, then we finally got to kind of towards the end, and at this point it was like we were already at the hour mark, and she still hadn't really kind of asked me about, why do you think you're overweight, like the question that they probably all have to ask. And it was just very nice. She like kind of like zoned in, and she said, I don't know if you're a Christian or not, or if you believe in anything, but I'm a Christian. And she said, and I just have a really good feeling from you, like spiritually. So I thought that was interesting. And after that, then she asked me, well, let's talk about, why do you think you're overweight? Why do you think, what's going on? What do you think? Is there any trauma, past trauma? So I was completely honest, and I told her, I went for days, and I was racking my brain trying to figure out what could have possibly maybe triggered this for me, and I couldn't come up with anything. I really don't have any major trauma. I told her, I had a miscarriage. I went through a divorce. The divorce was not the most. It wasn't violent, but how the marriage ended was not very nice. And I was like, there was extramarital affair that kind of like sort of cemented the end of the marriage, and not on my end, but so I was like, but that in itself didn't really matter because I was already overweight at that point. So what I told her is that I definitely don't have an addictive personality. I don't smoke, I don't drink, I don't do drugs. I joked with her saying, well, if anything, I'm addicted to chocolate, but even then, it's not like I have to have it every day, and it's not like I have to have that to thrive. And I even commented how I was actually taking this very seriously because I was trying to figure out what the heck went wrong, And I had gone through Overeaters Anonymous. I think they have like some sort of online quiz. I took that. I was like, well, I don't see it. And then I even went to an eating disorder, I don't want to say program, but an eating disorder. It was a website, but it was like an organization. There we go. And they had a quiz, and I took it, and I was like, and I just don't see it. The only thing I could potentially see is that even before surgery, like now with surgery, I'm barely ever hungry. But before, I was still really rarely hungry. I rarely woke up hungry. I rarely thought about food all the time. If I ever thought about food, was really just to figure out what I was going to make for dinner, or if there was an event coming up that I was trying to figure out what the menu was going to be for it. But really, in all actuality, it's not something I ever overthought about or anything like that. But what would happen is because I wasn't hungry, I would just be drinking coffee, which that tends to inhibit your hunger cues a little bit. So by the time it was like maybe 1 or 2 o'clock, I haven't eaten breakfast, I haven't eaten lunch. And then, I would make something to kind of like carry me through. And then it would be 8 o'clock at night, and I'm like, ooh, I'm hungry. I would make dinner, and then I would I would probably overcompensate. Instead of maybe like a regular serving size, I would do maybe like 2 serving sizes, because I was trying to overcompensate for the calories that I didn't eat that day. But it wasn't ever anything, I think, of me, what is that called? I forget the word. There's binge. I never binged eat. I didn't eat in hiding. I was never doing any of those behaviors. And, she said, well, that sounds like that would be the reason, because you were not doing healthy eating habits, as in reference to setting up times to eat. And you would just, like you said, you were just eating. Your eyes were bigger than your stomach, and you were just eating because you thought that's what you needed to eat. But she said, I think you're a very good candidate for bariatric surgery. At that point, it was September actually October. By that point, I think I had already lost like 30 pounds on my own. And she said, well, and and I know that you can do it because you're losing weight, and clearly now you know that you need to eat at consistent times. And we spoke on the phone for an hour and a half, and it was just a very nice conversation. Definitely nothing that I expected. I don't really know what I was expecting, but it was great. I hope everyone has a meeting just like that. Now, that's my experience. Then she sent the letter over to Michigan Bariatric Institute, and then then mentally I was approved for surgery. So while I was in the process of getting my surgery, I tend to do this a lot. I tend to do a lot of research. But as things were getting closer, and as I learned about the requirements, I looked about information about what the psychological evaluation was about, and I personally couldn't find a lot about it. Doesn't mean there's not information out there, but I personally couldn't find a whole lot of information about it. And the only information that I really found about it was through support groups, through Facebook. So now I want to talk about behaviors that I've noticed on online chats and Facebook groups and YouTube videos and just many things. I want to address the fact that people, if your program more than likely will require psychological evaluation unless you go to another country to do the surgery. This might be required by the program itself. This might be required by your insurance. So the whole point of that is because they need to know if you and I are going to be mentally strong enough to deal with all of the things that you will have to deal with after surgery, okay? And if you are not mentally strong now, you're going to really, really struggle post-surgery. If you use food as a crutch, if you binge eat, if you have any sort of eating disorders, if you are not able to see food for what it is, which is to nourish your body, or if you have any type of trauma, you're really going to struggle. So the reason I'm telling you this is because when you have your psychological evaluation, a lot of people, if you are like me, you're going to post inquiring about the psychological evaluation. And a lot of people in these Facebook groups, Instagram, all of the social media, they're going to tell you, some of them, not everyone, some of them are going to tell you, oh, I lied in my psychological evaluation, or I just kind of like made it prettier than it is. And then months later, those are the same people that are posting how much they're struggling. So just be honest, tell them your truth. I hate that saying, but tell them your truth. And if you need to become mentally stronger before you can have the surgery, although I know it's frustrating, and although I know it's something that you don't want to hear, please understand that is the best thing for you. This surgery, after the surgery is done, is about 90% mental, 10% everything else. And once the mental aspect of it kind of like dissipates, then it's 80% nutrition, 20% exercise. But the mental aspect, you might have to deal with it for the rest of your life. Or, you just need to learn how to have good coping mechanisms. In fact, even though I don't have I haven't had any mental struggles with my journey, I still called I think it's called St. Joe's Outpatient Behavior Health. And I put myself on the list so that I can have a therapist and like maybe talk to them once a month, just in case I ever need it. I want to have all of the tools at my disposal. And I know it's as someone who has never had mental health treatments, and I'm a little kind of like reserved about it. And I know it sounds silly. Like, if you don't have a mental issue, why are you even putting yourself in a waiting list to see a counselor? Because right now with COVID, of course, there's a shortage of psychologists too. So, and that's the reason. I just want to, just in case, or maybe just so that I can get better habits, better coping mechanisms, just talk about things. You know, my body will be changing. My body has already started changing. My surgery was 3/16. On 4/16, it'll be a month. So my body is already changing. I've lost, I think, close to 23 pounds. Today is April 7th. You know, I've lost inches. My pants are a little looser. So my body is definitely changing. In addition, I have these like holes in my stomach because of the incisions, and they're like kind of in, and they're just ugly. You know, right now it's just, I'm a caterpillar. Okay, I'm a caterpillar. I haven't blossomed yet, but I'm getting there. And if I need that, I think that's important. My point for all of this is, please don't lie. Please be truthful. Please, if you need the psychological treatment before you have the surgery, please do that. Please, 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 please do that. And even if you go to another country to do the surgery, hey, I have no judgments with that. I'm from Mexico. I could care less if you go to Mexico and have the surgery. I know they have great treatment there. But because in another country, they're not going to be able to follow up with you. They're not going to be able to give you, you know, a psychologist for you to talk to. They're not going to be able to answer your every question. And that is the one downfall. So even if you do that, get yourself a psychologist before and after. Get yourself in a mental state that you'll be able to deal with it, because a lot of people, oh my goodness, a lot of people struggle so much over it. I have not struggled at all in reference to food. It's been great. It's been great, but I think it's because I was mentally strong from the beginning, and my whole focus for doing this was my health. My focus has never been, oh, I'm going to be beautiful and gorgeous and skinny, and I'm gonna have a bikini body, and blah, blah, blah. I could care less about that. I just want to be healthy. I want my PCOS symptoms to diminish or go away. I want this high blood pressure to go away. I want, you know, all of the risks that I have carrying, like I could potentially have diabetes. It's in my family. You know, I just want to be healthy. So if you let's start with that being your first priority, getting yourself set. And that is pretty much what the psychological evaluation is for. So please, please be honest, be truthful. Don't lie, because the only person that you will be fooling is yourself. You may fool the psychologist, but you're going to really regret not being honest and not getting the help you needed beforehand. So that's a wrap for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell thing. I really hope you continue to join me in my journey. And you have a wonderful day, and see you next week.